All right, so check it out. Here I got a handful, more than a handful, a crap ton of the world's most popular slings. And here I got a bucket with a bunch of plastic balls so we can test the literage or the advertised literage of all these slings. And we can get an idea of which brands are maybe over-exaggerating their capacity a bit, which brands are under-exaggerating. Because at the end of the day, we know this can be very frustrating for you. You wanna buy a new bag, you know that you need around 3 liters, but is it, a tight 3 liters, this bag that you're interested in? Is it not, so that's what we're here to hopefully help with. And if you're watching this and you appreciate this content, all we ask is for a little share, whether it's with another friend or a bag nerd or somebody who might be looking for a bag for themselves. That share can really help the Nomads Nation YouTube channel grow, so thank you very much. All right, let's get to some measuring. And we're gonna use the Aer Day Sling as an example to show you how we measure capacity here at Nomads Nation. Because coincidentally, Evergoods just released a video where they showed how they measure capacity. And Kevin, the Evergoods co-founder, brought up some good points, that it's a bit more of a science than an art in some ways, and everyone kind of does it differently, which makes sense. It's why like a 3 liter bag from Bellroy might not feel as big as a 3 liter bag from Evergoods. The way I see it is there's 2 ways to legitimately measure the capacity of a bag. The not as good way would be to fill out this compartment, put it in the bucket, then completely fill out this compartment, put it in the bucket, and then completely fill out this compartment and put it in the bucket. In essence, that's a way to look at each of the compartments in the bag separately. But the problem is, in my opinion, that's not an accurate representation of the capacity of the bag because all those compartments are always fighting for space. And you can never have a situation where all 3 of those compartments are fully packed out, therefore getting this much actual capacity in the bag. The way I prefer to do it is by filling up the main compartment. And like Kevin from Evergoods said, and our development team for Fyro at BagMe. Shout out to BagMe for helping us set up this entire system actually. They got us the retailer to get these plastic balls, the actual way that the proper factories use to measure bags. But anyways, the BagMe development team does the same thing where you don't do it separately. You fill up the main compartment, not to the point where it's looking deformed. You just wanna get a really good idea of the capacity without overdoing it. That should be about right. And then once that's packed out, you can go ahead and fill out the other compartments as well. Again, this system's not perfect because you might be in a situation where the main compartment's not fully packed out and you just want to pack out the front compartment. But this is the most likely scenario. Let me know if you disagree with our methods in the comments below. Let's get some in the back. Now, should we know that the Aer Day Sling 3 is marketed at 3 liters. We're definitely pushing it right now. So we can close that up. So, moment of truth, Aer Day Sling 3. This is not the max, this is the regular version. Emptying out that main compartment, emptying out the front. No more balls. Okay, good. And you can see, yeah, we're just 2.5, 3 liters, somewhere in that range. So I'd say pretty accurate, right? But out of curiosity, let's see what it would measure if we did the volumes independently. So we're gonna fully pack out the front pocket. And you can see we basically tripled the amount of balls that we were able to fit in there. That's fully packed out. And then instead of filling out the rest, we're gonna measure that by itself. Now test out the main compartment. All right, you can see main compartment now pretty fully packed out. And then the third pocket, we filled that out independently. Zip it on shut. That's pretty good in terms of the capacity. And you can see we're painting a very different picture in terms of the capacity, right? Because now we're definitely over 3 liters, 3.25, 3.5, Yeah, you can call that 3.5 versus 2.5 with the previous measuring system. And that's like what, I don't know, like a 33% increase? I'm not a math guy. I know it's probably not 33%, but I'm sure I was close. So hence the complications and the confusion on how it's measured. But again, for us at Nomads Nation, I think it's more valuable to pack out the main compartment, fill out the rest, and then get your measurement that way. So let's run through some of these other bags. Also, great job, Aer. It seems like you're right around 3 liters. Spot on. Let's see if some of the other bag companies are just as accurate. Who's next? Tomtoc. So this is the T26, which should be 5.5 liters. And you can see this is a significantly larger sling, because it's a big boy. All right, we can go ahead and close that. Yeah, pretty full. Back compartment. You can see it's not too full as where we can't fit any balls in there, but it's full enough as to where, you're not gonna be competing for space in the main compartment. Close that up. And then for the front, this is a very tight pocket. So I'm gonna go ahead and say we're not actually gonna fit much in there, but we'll try and go ahead and get some. Moment of truth. And also, if there's any slings that you want to see us measure that we're not doing in this video, please let me know in the comments below. I can't promise we'll do it, but we're gonna try our best to make this a resource for our amazing community. All right, so advertise 5.5 liters. So while the Tomtoc T26 is a big sling, our measurements are coming in just under 5, 4.5. And one thing to also note that what Evergoods said in their video, which again, the timing couldn't have been perfect, really helped me kind of clarify my thoughts with this, is they give themselves a 2 liters sort of like buffer zone, which allows them to say like, hey, this is a bit more of an art than it is a science. It depends on how much we're packing it in each compartment. So, if it's a 5.5 liter sling or so it claims to be, and it's coming in at just under 5, I think that's pretty much so within the margin of error that I'm personally okay with. Next up, let's do a sling that gets a lot of criticism for feeling smaller than it's advertised. It's one of my favorite slings of all time. It's the Bellroy Venture Ready, 2.5 liters. And this is where things are gonna get interesting because this is the Evergoods CAS2, which we'll do next, which is also 2 liters. Well, actually, this is supposed to be bigger at 2.5 liters. So you can see this one just feels and looks much mightier and larger than this little guy. But you know what they say, ball never lies. That's gonna do it. Back pocket. Should be about right. I don't even care anymore. And then the dual front pockets, which actually have a bit more capacity, right? Again, this is where it gets weird. Like the Tomtoc, like that front pocket was tight when the bag was fully packed out. Just, it was really flush. But the Bellroy Venture, you can see that actually this gusset gives it some room to expand a little bit. So just showcases this is harder than it looks, or maybe open to a bit more interpretation than one would seem. Zip this on shut. It's pretty full right there. A little bit of room to breathe. Hold up, got a straggler. All right, so looking at this guy, I mean, I'd say we're under 2 liters, just under, maybe 1.75 to 2. So actually a bit closer than I thought it was gonna be. Next up, Evergoods CAS2. This one's pretty easy to measure. Got a big old canyon right there. Oh, why can't they all be this easy? Holy crap. Thank you, Jack and Kevin. Well, just Kevin now, apparently. Let's see, close that, okay. Pretty full there. In the back, definitely got some space here. So, 2 liters. Let's find out. And yeah, we're looking at basically 2 liters on the dot right there. So that's pretty well measured by the EG team. Alpaka, another controversial one. This is the Flight Sling 2 liter. My God, that was the easiest one yet. Should I give all these brands the right measurements to the best of our ability? Get some of these in the front. Not gonna lie, my man over at One Bag Travels, he uses the packing peanuts to measure capacity, and they are a lot less bouncy than these balls, that's for sure. But apparently, according to the Bag Me team, who do bag development in Vietnam and have for millions of years, they said the plastic balls can't be beat because of the right size, they have a bit more weight to them, and it's just the professional way to test the bag's capacity. So that's why we're using them, even though it's causing such a mess. All right, 2 liters advertised. Just around 2 liters. So it seems pretty good for Alpaka as well. Peak Design, outdoor sling, just released, great sling. Advertised at 7 liters. This is a big boy. And what's interesting too is like the different materials. This is the lightest one yet. This is a super lightweight ripstop, and it just feels like it can handle so much more because of that. The more padding that you have, the less malleable the fabric is, the less capacity it has. So you can see pretty full. Tough to get in anything in here though with just how malleable it is, because again, bag construction, there's nothing keeping this bag structured. So now that it's fully packed out, we've kind of lost the ability to get into this pocket here. We could if we tried to, but as we're testing out different things and learning, let's just see what the main compartment gives us for the Peak Design Outdoor Sling 7 liters. So I think this is one that we can say is coming in interestingly under. Now, we obviously didn't load up the front, but we had a hard time doing that. So we took out some of the balls to accommodate that. I think that we would have ended up around 6 liters anyway. So I think this is the first bag where it's like, you know, noticeably undersized in terms of what's advertised. We also do have this back pocket, but you're not really gonna fit much in there when the bag is packed out. I would say that 6 liters is where I'd feel comfortable in terms of advertising the capacity of this sling. Still close, but a little off. All right, next up we got the new kids on the block, the Toshi Rework, advertised at 5 liters. Filling up that main compartment. That's gonna call it right there. Top pocket here. Nice use of volume, guys. That actually has some space as well. Get over here. We've got this pocket under here, which should get a little volume as well. Let's just get an idea again of just like the 2 primary pockets for that usable space. There's another small front pocket and a back pocket. And you could even count, you know, this flap under here if you wanted to. This is where things get weird, guys. Do they count that? Advertised at 5, main compartment for us plus front, we're looking at 3.5 to 4, somewhere in that range. So, you know, I think this one's probably slightly over exaggerated. Remember, we did this main compartment and the front pocket, loaded them the F out, but didn't put anything in this pocket or the back pockets. Maybe with the bag fully packed out, you might've gotten another 1/4 to a 1/2 liter, or maybe Rework actually measures each compartment separately. It says, this is 1, this is 1.2, these are other numbers that equals 5. Modern Dayfarer Sling V2, claiming it as 10 liters. This is definitely a bigger sling. I think let's see. This one's interesting as well because you can see we've topped off the main compartment right here, but it's sort of a roll top, right? So we could actually loosen this fidlock buckle, and although we wouldn't have any more space in the main compartment, you could probably like, you know, elevate this and still fit, you know, like an umbrella on top of here or maybe something bulkier. We've also got this front pocket, which has some decent volume to it. So we're gonna do it. Okay. So we're calling this like over 7, but again, are you counting roll top? We also didn't even do the tech compartment, which, you know, very tight, but you probably got another liter in there, especially if you're kind of measuring it independently. This is where I wanna hear what you guys gotta say. Like, what should we standardize? How should we be measuring this? I know the people, y'all need a voice, so I'm trying to get this into motion so we can maybe have like a conversation with like a universal system that all these brands can follow. So let's get that conversation going in the comments below. So this is actually taking a little bit longer than we thought it was gonna take, guys. So we're gonna end with this last test with the all new Bellroy Classic Slings. And you can see we've got a 3 liter, a 5 liter, and a 7 liter. For the 3 liter, in the main compartment, we're getting just under 2. So if you add the back wallet pocket in there, you might count that 2, 2.5. But for the 7 liter, got that fully packed. Oh, you can see that's fully packed. Back pocket not filled, but just the main compartment. You can see that, you know, we're under 4. So even if you fill up that main compartment, there's no way we're getting this to 7. But if you measure them independently, you might have a chance. And if you take some of that buffer and that margin for error, you can kind of say, you know, 5.5, 7, tomato. Now here's the deal. We're gonna wrap this video up. And we shot this just to get the conversation going. See what y'all have to say. And I also think, as I've been doing this, that it's not fair of me to measure other brands' bags and put them on the spot and not to do it for my own bag. Because if you don't know, I do actually have my own backpack company that just launched last year called Firo. So I'm gonna shoot another one of these videos where we're gonna do your top backpack requests. So let me know what those are in the comments below. We'll probably just pick around 10 of them. We can't do a ton. We got a lot of reviews to shoot. And in that video, I'll also put myself on the spot and measure the Firo T22 backpack just to keep everything fair across the board. So I'll be honest, I think that we're 22 liters on the Firo T22 backpack, but maybe when I remeasure it this way, it might not be. And this is what the conversation is that I want to sort of happen. It might be uncomfortable for brands, you know, myself included, but I think this is better for the industry as a whole that we're putting this conversation front and center. So please, again, if you like this content, share it. Be sure to comment below what you think or any other bags that you want us to test out. And if you're new to the channel and you want to learn a bit more about the Nomads Nation team, be sure to watch this video right here, where you can check our top bag picks across a bunch of distinct categories so you can see what the best options on the market are. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Aaron. This is Nomads Nation, and we'll catch you next time.